And on my very first syndication, we did a 172 unit apartment complex. I raised 3.5 out of the $4.3 million on that very first deal. This is back in 2019.
Welcome everyone to our Hero Capital Raising Show. I'm your host, Tim Mai. Today, I have a super special guest on the line with us. The reason why he's very special is because he's one of the very first syndicator, multifamily operator that I met when I first started this business 2 years ago. And I met Perry at Dan Hanford's event. And that's how I learned about Cashflow Portal. I came on as a passive investor in Cashflow Portal as well, and have gotten to know Perry quite a bit. A phenomenal individual as well as business owner. The way that he takes care of his passive investors and updating them, he does a really good job. So we're going to go into lots of different topics today, not only just general capital raising, but the way that Perry raises money, because he has raised for both multifamily as well as for his own Cashflow Portal, his prop tech. And so, yeah, so we're definitely going to go into that. So Perry, as you've heard, he is the founder and CEO of Cashflow Portal, which is a modern real estate syndication software that accelerates capital raising. Very intuitive. He was an engineering manager at Lyft for 5.5 years. Also worked as a software engineer at Twitter and Amazon. Perry had been a lead sponsor on over 1,000 multifamily units, raised over $25 million in real estate, that generated 30+% annualized return for his investors. And with that, let's give Perry a big welcome. Woohoo!
Thanks, Tim. Thank you so much, everyone. Seeing some familiar faces. Hi, Trevor. Hi, Brad. Hi, everyone. So yeah, my background is in software engineering. I was a early employee at Lyft, and I did about 7 single families in the Bay Area and Seattle before going into multifamily. I joined a mentorship group, and that's always helpful. And on my very first syndication, we did a 172 unit apartment complex. I raised 3.5 out of the $4.3 million on that very first deal. This is back in 2019. Economy was really good. So I don't think I can do that again this cycle. And then there were 70 investors set $60,000 each. I sent them DocuSigns for signatures. I countersign it myself. I send them wire instructions. They send me the money. I send them an email, say, hey, I got your money. So all of their social security bank accounts are in my Google spreadsheet. They will call me during the tax season to tell me their social so that we can prepare their K1s. This is back in 2019. 2020 rolls around, we did a 408 unit, and we use a very large syndication software for the raise. And then 2021, I used my own software, Cashflow Portal, for the raise. I was still a full-time engineering manager at that time, and so I couldn't disclose I own the company, and my investors were like, whatever using this time, it was better than last time. And so I quit my job, applied to Y Combinator, which is a Silicon Valley incubator program. We are very fortunate that we got in. And a little bit about the company now. We are 30 people. We have 700 GPs, amazing GPs, doing syndications, funds, funnel funds, blind funds, open-ended funds, all kinds of things that we'll go into. And we also launch a few different products that will help in the life cycle of a syndication, of a syndicator's journey. So maybe I'll start off by sharing my screen and then tell you what I believe is the problem statement, and then we can maybe have people ask questions. So let's look at it from a 10,000 feet. What's the life journey of a syndication? So I believe if you want to be a GP, you are a business owner and you're starting a business. And you can decide on what kind of business you want to start. But if you want to be an operator-led business, so first thing is you're gonna find deals, you're gonna source deals. You do need to underwrite them, and then you need to determine what is a good price to offer, and that involves you to find the property management company, the vendors, the renovation budget, as well as the in place and the pro forma rent. Then that usually takes about 2 to 6 months to even build that relationship with a commercial broker. At the same time, you need to have a CRM that allows you to schedule calls with these people, keep track of all the contacts you have, as well as build relationships with co-sponsors or fund of fund managers. That's if you want to be an operator. Once you have a deal under contract or LOI accepted, congratulations. I like to joke that the fund doesn't start until you have the deal LOI accepted. That's where the journey begins. Now, that's when the journey ends. That usually takes about 9 months, 12 months already. At that point, you need to raise money. And so you will tell us, create an investor portal so that your LPs can come on the platform and be able to invest seamlessly through the portal. And then finally, there's the asset management part, which is monthly updates, distributions, waterfalls, compliance. You are owning a business. There's a profit and loss statement of your fund or your syndication, and then be able to report that transparently to your investors. And then finally, there's the disposition. Once you dispose, you run through all the numbers, and then you give a final distribution to your investors. Most of the time, it's actually 3 distributions or 2 distributions. You give the first distribution, then you wait until all the other expenses are being paid. Then there's the second distribution. Then you wait until the following year to spend the money on preparing K1s. And then there's the final, which is the very little distribution. So that's the life cycle of an operator. And imagine doing that 5 different times if you have 5 different syndications. It usually requires 2 or 3 different departments. One department is the acquisitions, and so they are in charge of underwriting, analyzing what price you want to make. There's the second department, which is the investor relations, which is setting up the investor portal, keeping track of the investors, sending them Christmas cards if needed. If they invested, you send them a nice hoodie or a hat to show your appreciation. And then finally, there is the strategy, which is what kind of assets are you going after? What kind of investors you like? How do you market? How do you do content marketing? And the reason I pull all of that is I have been a GP. I know the very real the mindset of that. And it creates a few interesting kind of mindsets. One is if your K1s are late, I get really stressed out when my K1s are late to the LPs. When the distribution doesn't work, I get really frustrated because the whole point of doing a syndication is I can give the money back to my LPs. If the investor is having trouble going through the investment funnel, I also get frustrated because this is a sales pipeline and there should not be any friction in the sales pipeline. My branding is important because when my investors go to my investor portal, I want to make sure they have this world-class experience as opposed to I don't know how to use this and then they churn, right? So that's why we want to be the operating system for your fund or your general partner business. Because I have been one, I know what it feels like when things are not working well. So there's that. Okay, so towards the end, we built an investor portal, we built a CRM, we have a marketplace that you can get new investors. We have an amazing AI-driven underwriting tool, which I can show you quickly. And then finally, we have banking, which allows you to earn interest rate on the undeployed capital. I know a lot of you here are fund of fund managers and funds. And so I do want to quickly talk about the difference between co-sponsorship and funds, and as well as how Cashflow Portal can help you in your funds journey. Yeah, so maybe I can pause there for questions from the audience or Tim, and then before I continue.
Yeah, we are gonna have a specific Q&A question for the audience after you and I are all done. And so yeah, you can go ahead and continue, and then I'll start asking first, and then we'll open it up for the audience to ask as well.
Amazing, great, cool. All right, so let's talk about a fund. Okay, so what do you do when you start a fund? So you can sign up for Cashflow Portal and it's 100% free to start with. And then there is a new button called the Funds Overview. So I'm going to click into it. So Cashflow Portal can serve as the central hub for all facets of your next fund, whether it's finding the attorney or the CPA, managing your investments, or marketing your fund to potential investors. So let's walk through this tutorial a little bit. So let's get started with funds. The first step is you can determine whether you want to do a single purpose vehicle fund of fund, or you want to do a customizable fund of funds. Okay, there are 2 options. And let's go through the pros and cons. The SPV version, most people choose that. 85% of the first-time fund managers choose that. That's because that's easy to set up. That's easy to raise for. The LPs know exactly which asset you're raising for. It's minimal administration. By definition, it shouldn't even need a fund admin there. Okay, it's a lower short-term cost, meaning that it's a one-time thing, and it's usually about $4,000 or $5,000. And you can use it to build your track record because it's once and done, right? The con of a SPV fund is limited scalability, and then it's a long-term cost increase. If you do it for every single deal that you're raising money for $1 million or $500K, you're spending quite a bit of money. But this is a good resume builder. The next strategy is to build a customizable fund. About 15% of our customers do that. The pros are that it's highly scalable. You create one set of PPNs, and then you have disclosure forms for upcoming assets. So it's highly scalable. In the long run, it might beat out a SPV fund in terms of a lower long-term cost. Investors also have flexibility on which one they want to choose. And the cons, however, is that it's not that easy to set up. It takes about a few weeks to set up this customizable fund. You're going to learn a ton of terms in that process. And then it does require you to maintain the fund and be able to know what expenses come in which buckets they fall into to create that centralized K1 for your fund. For the sake of argument, I'm going to choose the harder one. I'm going to choose the customizable fund. And then let's go through what things you need to set up this fund. So the first thing is you need to find an attorney. Very first thing is that you should have some kind of education group that teaches you how to raise for a fund. And there are multiple mentorship groups out there. We are not a mentorship group. We are a peer software that complement the mentorship groups. So the first thing is you want to talk to some of these attorneys. All of them know Cashflow Portal. All of them have agreed to put their names here. All of them have set up special pricing with Cashflow Portal. The folks I recommend is Three Pillars Law, MW Law, and syndication attorneys. Those are the most frequently used attorneys that the customizable fund folks use. Okay. When you go to them and you say, we come from Cashflow Portal, can you give the Cashflow Portal pricing? They're more than happy to give that as well. And then set it up, and the length of time is that it usually takes about a week to talk to some of these folks. The average cost for them is about $10,000 to set up a customizable fund, 10 to 15,000, with the median price of 12,000. Again, this is for customizable fund. If you're doing an SPV fund, you're talking about $5,000, $4,000 to $5,000, much cheaper. Right. But you can imagine after a couple of years of doing the SPV fund, you just add up to the customizable fund. So there's some. So you can pick one, schedule a meeting with them, and so on. So the next step is you can set up a deal, Cashflow Portal, to do the customizable fund, but you don't have to. This is just an informational, so I'm going to skip this step. Next one is you have to do the bookkeeping and the accounting part. Okay. Now, the customizable fund has the main two CPAs and accountants are HHM and Vertical Street Ventures, Vertical CPA. Okay, they are really good. HHM is a very reputable CPA for the customizable fund niche. Feel free to schedule a call with them. They're happy to give you a Cashflow Portal pricing. And then the last part is I want to mention is fund admin. So let's talk about fund admin. And I've been a GP since 2019, started in 2018. And I've seen the co-sponsors model come and go. I've seen the funds becoming very popular now. And there's always this question, what is fund admin? What is it? So the fund admin is this generic term to describe the things you do inside of an open-ended fund. Okay, it includes the ability to set up waterfalls and calculate distributions. But that's technically the function of an investor portal because that's a software base. So that's that. The second one is fund admin also includes the ability to have your investors sign documents and be able to see how much their net asset value is worth. They invest 100K. How much is it now? Is it 115? Is it 120K? I don't know. And that calculation is done both on your own books, which is done by a CPA, as well as inputting it into some kind of software that the investors get a centralized statement. Okay, so that's the second function of fund admin, which is investor statements, investor transparency. The third part of the fund admin is compliance. When you're doing a customizable fund, every year you have to tell the SEC how many beneficiary owners you have, and then the details of these beneficiary owners. And there's like a whole website you go into to fill this out. There's the compliance with regards to your investors need to have passed the Anti-Money Laundering Act. So make sure that none of your investors are in any of the sanctions lists. That's handled by some kind of system that checks your investors' background. So like automatic background checks and so on, okay, or KYBs. The other compliance is that, did you know that when you're doing a syndication, you file with the Form D. So Form D is with the SEC. Once you get that Form D, you have to do what's called the blue sky filing, which is with every state. And that is a one-time thing when you're doing a syndication, because that syndication is like closing, has a close date. When you're doing a customizable fund, basically every deal that you're raising for underneath the hood, you have to do a blue sky filing for every one of them. And so that is a whole process of compliance that you have to go to different websites and do that. And that's also part of the fund admin. Fund admin is basically an executive admin. It's just doing all these paperwork. That's not exactly about, that include the investor relations, that includes compliance, that includes bookkeeping, and that includes creating your finalized K1. Okay, so what does that mean? That means you don't need a fund admin. Not when you start. I really actually discourage. All our biggest customers, like Neo Bawa is a customer of ours, Good Egg is a customer of ours. And I asked them, hey, do you use anyone for fund admin? And they always say, I'm the fund admin. It's basically, it's your entire business. It's all the little things that make up for it. The thing that Cashflow Portal does is the distributions, waterfalls, compliance, AML, KYC, and then generating the cap table management. The things that we don't do and we're not good at is accounting, bookkeeping. So the only thing that we don't have that make up the whole umbrella of fund admin is bookkeeping and accounting. And towards that end, we outsource it we delegate it, and we form this very close partnership with HHM and Vertical CPA. And so that's why I will say this is the biggest aha moment, because when you go to a large fund admin, what you're going to find is that, especially if you're starting out, they are extremely expensive. And they technically also have an investor portal, and they want you to use their investor portal and so on. We have folks that use actually NAV consulting for just the accounting and the CPA part, and they're willing to collaborate with you. So feel free to talk to them, and we have a partnership with them. But know that it's very much commingled with the software. So let me pause that. If that was my aha moment. It's like, what is this fund admin thing? It just turned out it's just a generic term to describe a set of functions that a fund manager needs to do.
Yeah, you do see a lot of software components in fund admin services. With any fund admin type of platforms that you go with, they do have a lot of software components to them. I don't think anybody does fund admin, just the service part of it by itself, without a software. And so it does get tricky, and it's the software part of it that allows them to also charge a lot of money. A lot of fund admin type platform, they charge you based on how much asset you have, how much funds you have under management. It's not, yeah, and that percentage, it can add up really fast. And so you're looking at a typical, I think on the low end, it's $30,000 a year for fund admin platform. I think NAV falls around $40,000 a year, something like that. And this is for, if you're just raising a few $1,000,000, obviously not a very good solution. That's why the SPV models is a lot less expensive to do it that way. But yeah, once you get into where you are raising a significant enough amount where you're paying $30,000 to $50,000 a year, it's still worth it for you, then that's when these fund admin platform comes in.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. By the way, is for the folks that are here, is this useful to setting the framework when you're starting out as either a fund manager or a fund of fund manager?
I think so. I think it was very good. I think, yeah, because this is a topic that is vague for a lot of people. And I know for the longest time it was vague for me. And so I
Mhm.
really appreciate, yeah, how you broke it down into each part of a fund here and look at how they all work together. It's very good.
Yeah, very good. Cool. Awesome. All right, so let's get back here. Maybe Tim, what would be most helpful for your
Yeah.
audience? Because I would love to talk about um, what's most is that the underwriting part or is that the marketplace, the palace part, and so on.
Yeah, so we're gonna first we're gonna talk more about the capital raising side, which then
Mhm.
includes the palace part of it, and
Mhm.
then we'll save the underwriting toward the end here. Raise money on your own, you are able to see a lot of capital raisers on Cashflow Portal that have raised money. And I know you actively running Facebook ads for Palace as well to attract passive investors. So share with us like what working well, how everybody complains about how it's harder to raise money in today's market than it was before. So share with us what are you seeing on your side, both from a personal experience as well as getting to see other operators as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is becoming really difficult to raise money, and it's harder than even though we know it's difficult this year, it's actually harder than it looks. It's even harder, which is not a great news. When we do ads, and Tim, you seeing our ads because I guess you click on it, that's why you keep seeing them. But we technically only spend $5 a day on those ads. But I guess it all goes to you at this point. We
Okay,
know
hold on real quick. How much per day you say?
$5 a
Five
day.
dollars. Okay.
Yeah, like
That's
nothing.
okay, yeah.
And we set our objective to brand awareness as opposed to conversion. So there's a we, however, we know our customers that do a ton of ads. So we've seen their Facebook ads and so on. And the average is about $40 to $80 per sign up, not even investing. So that means they put their name on a native Facebook form. Okay. And they also hire a consultant to do the Facebook marketing piece of it, the right copy and so on. And one of the tricks that other folks use might be a free giveaway. And the free giveaway, usually I have seen that if you give your free giveaway is more like what is passive investing. Usually that doesn't work. A nicer giveaway will be like how to save taxes on your personal finance. That works a lot, especially if you're like a business owner. So that's really nice. Something that's a little bit more technical. The audience likes that. So freebie that got the email, and then they have a whole team of investor relations reaching out to those folks. We have seen the transaction volume go down by 80% from 2 weeks ago in terms of just new deals coming on board. And that's just across multifamily, that's within multifamily. And so even all the offers have 80% drop in the number of bids and the number of tours and so on. And similarly, the number of new deals have dropped across the industry by definition 80%. And as a
Now,
result,
real
people
quick, Perry, real quick. 80% compared to when?
compared to 2 years ago, which is
Two
height of the
years
market.
ago. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Percy asked a question about $5 a day. That's Facebook ads. Yeah, that's Facebook ads. Yeah. And even that, when we fund that, meaning that's not our growth strategy. Our growth strategy is this intrinsic product virality. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not an expert to speak on Facebook ads, just to be clear. I'm a product builder, and yeah, but we're getting some nice tractions on Palace. So I will say, here's what I found. The best way to get additional investors is through word of mouth. This is the best way I know. A typical example is, so let me actually put this up. So let me go to Palace Investing, and then let me go into LPs. So you see a list of LPs on Palace.
I
And then
see Trevor's name popped up real fast.
yeah, let me go to Buam. So Buam actually and I worked together at Lyft. He was an engineering manager. And Palace, he had two investments that went full cycle. And these returns are verified because the distributions are done through Cashflow Portal in the backend.
I
And
see.
so what happens with Buam is that he invested, I can tell this number because he's my friend, I can talk about him. He invested 100K with a GP and he referred his friend to that same GP. And so he just used this referral button to refer his friend to the same GP. And then his friend is investing 50K. Or it's like he does 50K and then the other person does 50K, 100K total. And so he's an engineering manager at Lyft. And I think he now may work at a different company now. If they see just a Facebook ad, there's no way they're gonna trust it unless you also have a really awesome website and you have good name recognition and so on. So what we have found is that it's always through the people they already know. And that's the best way you can raise money. And that's all. Over the years, I formed my thesis, which is do a good job on your current deal. And then ask your friends, ask your investors for referrals. And then use some of these testimonials on your ads. That's fine. But yeah, it is definitely very difficult to raise money.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's talk about Palace here. So what is your vision behind creating Palace and how is it helpful for sponsors, capital raisers?
Yeah, good question. I applied to Y Combinator with the idea of Palace. I got rejected the first time. And then the second time, I got a little bit smarter. I applied on behalf of Cashflow Portal and said, hey, this software will actually have revenue. But the idea was always that we want to build the eventual marketplace. And we believe that 5, 10 years from now, there's no reason a product like this shouldn't exist. You should be able to find an operator or fund manager you like that acts on your behalf. You should be able to immediately build report through Zoom or just Meetup or through a referral network. And you should be able to get on a call to get to know them. So you have that substantive relationship that you can invest in their future 506B deals. The infrastructure, all the document signing, the distributions, the verification, the identity, all of that should be second nature 5, 10 years from now. So the infrastructure is out there. People are willing to live in strangers' places through Airbnb. People are able to get rides through Lyft and Uber, and people are able to shop things through Amazon. There's no reason that 5, 10 years from now, people cannot invest into alternative assets. There will be the three big pillars. There is the stock market that's always gonna exist. But guess what? Back in 1929, stock market was in shambles. Alternative investing is what stock market was back then. Nobody knows about them. But if you build a reputable system that's based on real identities, there's no reason 5, 10 years now it cannot happen. And I'm a GP. So in order to get there, what do we have to do? In order to build a marketplace, you have to build one side of the marketplace first. And I decided that Cashflow Portal is a means to an end to building that marketplace. And it turned out that the GPs pay us to use the tool, and they're very happy about the tool. Okay. And we also made a very conscious decision that the marketplace will not be shown to their LPs. So if you go on Cashflow Portal right now, if you're LP, you don't see any trace of Palace that even mention any of the landing pages. You don't see it. And that was a very conscious decision because I know I'm a GP. I know what it feels like if you show the marketplace on the same website. But the goal is always that I want to build a marketplace because if you serve the LPs, everyone's jobs will get easier. And right now we have some fantastic news, like people are referring. So Buam, like invest in a GP and he refer a friend. His friend is Akash. And I don't know Akash. I do not know Akash. But yeah, Akash is an investor now. And then they invest through Cashflow Portal. And then this kind of investment is now in the system. And then people know Akash is a good LP. And then if they like it, they will refer someone else to it. It's just to be clear, it's extremely difficult to build that thing. That's because if you buy something on Amazon, in 2 days, if this thing is good or bad, you can review it. With the investment, the review cycle is 5 years. But I also realized that if I have infinite time, which I believe I have close to infinite time, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, it will eventually, that's the norm 10 years from now. Whether we are part of it, that's someone else can decide that. But I definitely want to be part of it. So I'm very passionate about this marketplace because it's not that like pro LP or pro GP, none of that. No, GP's job is to get a good return. If you're a GP and you're just only trying to make money for yourself, then you shouldn't honestly be a GP. Your GP's job is to find a good operator or a good asset so you can make money and your reputation will precede you. So even though I'm a GP, we have a software, Cashflow Portal, that's tailored towards GPs. My heart is, can we do a better job for the LPs? Can we give a very nice website that LPs can decide what they want without affecting the GPs, right? And so that's what we're trying to create. And I think they are very much tied together.
Very,
Yeah,
very,
go ahead.
very cool. So right now you're sharing us what it looks like for LPs. So can you give us how should GPs utilize this?
Yeah, so GPs can use it by filling out the GP form. So if I go to Cashflow Portal and then sign up, it's free. Create a company. You can feature your company or you can feature yourself. Go to the company profile. Then here you can say, I want to show this on Powder's investing, show the location. You can also show GP only insights, meaning that how much money you can raise, what roles you're looking for, what roles you're good at. So I will explain in a second that we actually built an internal network of GPs that help them find co-sponsors or fund of fund managers. Okay. Then you can download all your track record through Cashflow Portal. You can add an intro video. You can add a summary, images, all the investments you have made, any of the insights, and then you can also add any reviews you want. Okay, you can add all the podcasts you appear on, all the videos you have done, as well as references. Okay, so you create this pretty much like a LinkedIn profile, and then all you have to do is you click on show on Palace Investing. This is my demo account, so I'm not showing it on Palace myself. Okay, and so once you do that, then you will just show up on Palace, and then the LPs that will come to Palace will connect with you. So the goal is that you, as a GP, you will get additional investors by featuring yourself on Palace. Let's talk about what does it look like when you feature yourself. So this is what that looks like. A lot of these people you might folks already know. So Angel is a very good fund of fund manager. If you want to learn more, please connect with her. And then Momentum is a good. So I have 11 mutual connections, 7 full cycle. They are very good as a GP. Cohen Rojas is very good, and then Granite Towers is also obviously very good. Cohen Rojas has 36 full cycle deals. Okay, and Greystone is also very good, five full cycle deals. Let me click into say Granite Towers. Okay, Granite Towers here. Okay, so you can see that because it's tied, the data come from our software. All these returns are verifiable. Annualized return, and then yeah, annualized return IRR. This is immediately showing, and then these are all the managing deals, the deals they're currently managing. And if someone wants to say, I want to refer someone to Granite Towers, they click on refer. And then in fact, I'm just gonna refer Tim Mai to this. Tim Mai, what's your email address?
Timmai, the number 2 at Gmail.
Yeah, I love it. So Gmail like that. So hi, Dan and Mike, meet Tim Mai. They are a excellent podcaster and a host. You share 100% go to their show. And then Tim, Dan, and Mike are excellent GPs in Texas. I will let you folks take it from here. So I'm gonna do
Awesome.
that, and then I'm gonna invite them. Now Tim, I will see a email that says, "Hey, Perry referred Tim to Granite Towers." So I'm a GP. This inspiration came from that in my day-to-day job. A lot of the lead sponsors come to me and say, can you find me co-sponsors, Perry? A lot of the customers came to me and say, hey, can you find me, fund of fund managers? And then I stopped being a GP because I don't want to have that perceived conflict of interest. So I decided that I'm just gonna keep running Cashflow Portal and Palace, and I'm not gonna be a general partner myself. But my investors have a good return, and they're like, hey, what other GPs can I invest in? So I built this thing basically to help those investors and help myself to refer people. What I just did for Tim was basically sending an intro email to both of them. It's just that now it's on this platform. And before Tim takes the action to connect with Granite Towers, he can do some due diligence on Granite Towers. And these numbers are verified on the platform.
Very cool. Share with us, like, have the GPs on your platform, have the users reported to you that they have gotten leads that they did not know prior that came from Palace, leads of GP LPs that came
100%.
from Palace?
100%. So these are real numbers. So Palace investing, da da da. So $2.9 million were
I
invested
see.
through Palace. Okay. It's not a lot, just to be clear. I'm, not saying that this is like life-changing. Okay. And then for comparison, Cashflow Portal manages 5 billion. This 2.9 is through a lot of referrals. 100%. Yeah.
Very good.
So
Okay. Yeah.
actual money have been raised on the platform, and we don't charge, just to be clear. On Palace, we have not charged so far. And the reason is we cannot charge a percentage of the transaction that's against the SEC, da da da. And so what happens is the GP said the following to us. They're like, I thought I was only using Cashflow Portal. I never in a million years expect to get this $100,000 investment. I'm like, thank you, but you're gonna be a lifelong customer of Cashflow Portal because you did not expect that. That's correct.
That's
Yes.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as capital raisers, and I'm like, as long as I've known about the existence of Palace, I haven't even gone in to create my profile and optimize my profile yet. So I need to do that. But yeah, you all should do that. It's an amazing platform and service that Perry is offering to us completely free for us. And so it's silly that we're not taking advantage of that. I'm not taking advantage
Yeah.
of it. So yeah, you guys definitely want to make sure you do that. All right, Perry. We talked about the state of capital raising in general. We talked about Cashflow Portal being able to not only support the normal syndications, but also supporting SPV, supporting customizable funds, like taking care of the software part of the fund administration. I know the answer to this one, but I want you to share with others, why have you chose to focus in on just the software and not incorporate the fund administration into Cashflow Portal as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So the question is, why are we intrinsically a software business as opposed to a service business? That's a really good question. And the answer is eventually we may have to have fund admin, but not right now. And when we talk to Juan Hernandez from HHM, they say it's very cumbersome if you try to do a service business. It's not scalable. The number of people you need scales along with the number of basically executive assistants on your team, and you have to train them and so on. You essentially become a talent agency that have a lot of people. You could make it easier, like the bookkeeping, you could have a software that make it easier. So that is something we'll do. The DNA of the company is to focus on something that scales infinitely, and that is in the spirit of a software. Every time when we need to do something that's not our core competency, I try to stay away from it. Even if that means like we don't offer a complete package of solutions to our customers, because if we go down that path, we may not be able to fulfill our promise and we might lose the customer anyway. And so that is something I'm very cautious of. So we want to be excellent in software, and we want to be staying away from kind of like service industries.
Yeah, I sometimes think of fund administration business is similar to property management business. Very people intensive, very low margin. uh, very hard to scale for sure. Yeah, very cool. All right, and then yeah, we talk about Palace. So now let's talk about the AI underwriting tool that you've created.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, share with us about that.
Jim, question, quick, sorry for the interruption there. I
Mhm.
would love to show the last thing on Palace is
Oh
if you
yes.
are a co-sponsor or a fund of fund manager and looking for good operators, what should you do, right? And similarly, if you are a lead sponsor and you're looking for co-sponsors, what do you do? And so on Palace, if you go to find GPs, there's the filters. So I'm gonna clear all the filters first, okay? And then within the filters, you can actually say expect the raise amount. So I'm gonna find all the people that claim they can raise more than $1 billion, exactly claim because it's showing through the system they can raise more than $1 billion. And then they are a co-sponsor or they are a fund of fund manager. These are their roles, okay? And I'm gonna click on apply. And then bingo, that's all the people that can raise more than $1 million according to our system.
Very good.
This is what you can use to find your co-sponsors. Now, if you want an introduction to some of them, just ping them and say, hey, Perry said, not Perry said, but they're like, hey, I would love to get to know you and whatnot. Or if you want me to refer you, feel free to just ping me and then I can refer you to them. Maybe it speaks up a louder. Similarly, if you're looking for good like operators, then you can just do like lead sponsor. Some people actually use this platform to look for KPs, key
Mm,
principles on their loan. And so right now, the most frequently used feature is actually GP to GP forming teams. Okay. It's just like Slack or Facebook group, very similar, with the difference is that you can see some of their track record and then that's all handled through here. And that's why we're not charging for like raising money. And this is like almost like a community. And then until we get critical mass, it's just a community for you to know more people do it. Yeah, so that's that. So
okay.
super helpful if you have a deal and you're looking for additional capital. If you ask me, hey, Perry, can you refer me some co-GPs? Honestly, I'll just go to Palace and then I refer you to a few GPs I know. Yeah. Mhm.
Very cool, Perry. Thank you for that.
Right.
Very good. All right, so let's talk about your AI underwriting software.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So let's talk about AI underwriting. Let's go. The best way to show underwriting is I'm gonna create an underwriting from scratch. Okay. So I know this is a whirlwind of topics. So underwriting, we can help you streamline your underwriting process by reducing the time required from hours down to 3 minutes. And we do it by instantly parsing your rent roads and your T12s. And then you can visualize the insights from data. And then you can see all kinds of sensitivity analysis and whatnot from it. Okay, cool. So click on get started with underwriting. And I'm going to underwrite a typical deal. So I'm going to do North Haven Terrace. This is my deal, so I don't mind talking about it. And purchase for $32 million-ish. Click on next, built in 1968. And then this is in 2800 Jardy Circle. So I'm going to put in my address, submit it. So I created this deal. It's an underwriting deal. And the first thing when you underwrite is you have to generate a rent roll and a T12, right? You take these numbers and you get it from your broker, and then you do some magic with it. And the way you do magic is by scanning every line and then trying to make some sense of it, to maybe do a pivot table. Maybe they give you a PDF. It's really hard to parse. And what we do is we help you parse that easily. So the first thing is let me just generate the unit mix. Right now, the unit mix is empty. The income is completely empty. So this is all empty. The expenses are always also empty. So none of this is filled in. So I'm going to generate the unit mix. Click on generate unit mix. I'm going to download the sample rent roll. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to drag and drop this rent roll into here and then click on upload. And then voila, the rent roll gets parsed. And so you can actually look at the rent roll. So this is all the unit mixes with the minimum, maximum of the rents. You can look at all the units and this match up against the rent roll itself. Click into insights. All of a sudden, I know what's the rent for each one of the unit types, as well as when the leases come expire. And this is all done through our backend AI parser. Okay. And so what can we parse? We can right now, we can parse pretty much any rent roll and a T12. And here's the guarantee that Cashflow Portal makes is that suppose we cannot parse it, we will parse it in 48 hours. So there's no failed parser. There's only pending parser. So if we cannot parse it using AI, what happens is that there will be a human person that goes in and parse it for you in the meantime, while we improve our AI capability. Okay. And so you can see the unit mix is pre-populated. And so this is the pie chart for the units. This is the rent statistic for the pie chart. The pro forma, we just take the highest rent of that unit type, believing that's your pro forma because you already achieved it. And so this is what that looks like. But you can change it if you want to, based on whatever data that you have. Okay. So this is what that looks like. Closing cost, you can fill in whatever closing cost you like. You can do a percentage of the loan amount. So the origination fee is usually say 1% of the loan amount, like that, right? And so I can do the closing cost here. Capital expenditure, maybe I will spend $7,000 per unit, and then I'm going to renovate about 200 of those units, and then I'm going to save it. So $1.4 million of renovation. For the finance, we have $1.4 million of renovation, but maybe $1 million of that is the finance rehab, and then the unfinanced rehab is 400K. So you can do that. Interest rate, working capital, acquisition fee, sales price, all of that is all pre-populated. Okay. Now, the expenses are still empty, right? So expenses are still empty. Right now, it's all zero on both sides. The T12 and pro forma are empty. And so normally, you have to fill in the expenses yourself by looking at their T12. And that's a tedious job. When we talk to people, they have an acquisition team that all they do every day is just do underwriting. Here, you can upload the T12. So I'm going to download this sample T12, and then I'm going to drag and drop into here. I'm going to save. Okay. And then when I upload that, look at this, all the expenses got pre-populated now. Okay. So like 21,000 for contract services, 600,000 for utilities, and so on. And we've been working on underwriting for more than a year. And this is the hardest part, which is how do you classify these things? We also use ChatGPT to classify these accordingly. Okay. Because on your T12, it doesn't say utilities. It says electricity. It says waste management. But how do you know they're part of utilities? We do the classification on the back end, right? So that's what's happening. So now all of a sudden we have 20% IRR and 5.43% cash and cash. This is not bad, right? And then so 143% return. This is a little bit too high because our reversion cap rate is way too high, way too low. So I'm gonna change it to 6.5% reversion cap rate right here. So go ahead and save it. And now it's looking correct. 11% IRR, 66% total investor return. You can export that, right? And then you can set the split if you want to. And then as time goes on, we're gonna add a lot more features. But I will pause here for any questions. Essentially, with rent roll and a T12, you can do a preliminary underwriting in less than 3 minutes by uploading both.
Any questions for Perry on this particular?
Yes. Perry, thank you. Brilliant. It reminds me of the SPSS software we had to work with, classification schemes. Well done. In the event that we need to add on either another income line item because it's a multi-use mixed income, first floor, second, third floor, corporate as well as residential, what sort of mechanism do we have to add on a line item, please?
Absolutely.
Like
so this is the potential rent, right? And then the year one is these are the potential rent. So you can come to unit mix, and then these are what we parse from the T2 from the rent roll. But you can actually click on add unit type and then say mixed use conversion from there, and then you can add the 1,000 square foot, and then this is charging maybe like one of those units, and then it's charging $15,000 of rent, and then this is $15,000 of rent as well.
Yeah, good point. In Arlington, they're always putting out optometrists and delis and other things on the first floor.
I love it. Yeah. So what we show was the simplified version, but you can add your custom unit types as much as you want. Okay. I love that. Yeah, we have some questions as well. Jean?
Yes, does it have a way to do a rehab schedule, downtime, rent increase after the rehab?
I love it. Thank you so much for asking that question. So on the unit mix, we have this pro forma rent, and we have the increase, and we have increased number. I have seen a lot of underwriting spreadsheets at this point, and I personally underwrote a lot. The next version of this will say how long does each of the unit mix renovation will take, and then the rent increase will be a function of your renovation schedule. And it will get even more complex than that. One version you can do it is, you see here, this is when the leases end. Technically, you can be very precise on 17 units come due, and then it takes 2 months or 3 months for renovation and lease up. And then that's when the pro forma rent kicks in. And so we can do all of that. But for the first version, we'll just keep a very simple number, which is, let's say your renovation is across 36 months or 24 months, whatever that it's an input, and then we will adjust the pro forma going up like that. We have seen it in other underwriting spreadsheets, and we will 100% incorporate it into the software. That's actually part of the roadmap.
What do you anticipate timing for that?
I will say by September, we should definitely have it. Yeah, David has another question.
Perry, you're very good at articulating a sequence of step-by-step, and very good at doing the slides of explaining for someone to get the broad view and the drill in to see specifically how it applies to their life. My question is it possible to consider short 2-minute, 3-minute YouTube to accompany some of these components, please?
Yeah, good question there. Thank you so much. So let's see. We have 100%. Thank you. I will 100% do that. And we have this Cashflow Portal, and then there was actually one of them. Our most popular video was this one, which is how to underwrite multifamily deals in 5 minutes. So there's that. Yeah, but thank you for the feedback. We will 100% create a more condensed version and show it to our prospective customers.